Okay, so in this tutorial I'll be making this beautiful gradient design in Inkscape. And the first thing I want to do is I want to set up my document. So I'll come over to File, Document Properties, and I'll come over to Grids, and let's apply an isometric grid, right? And what I want is for the spacing between the grids to be very big. So let's just try 400, maybe even more than this, like 600. I think this is fine. I think 600 is fine. We can just zoom in a little bit. But what I want to do is maybe I want to do something like this where I remove all the major grid lines, so I only have the minor grid lines because it will only get in our way. And then that is pretty much good enough. So let's close this, and I believe that looks pretty good. So next what I want to do is I'll make a perfectly symmetrical square like this, and then with it selected I'll come over to Path, Object to Path. I'll press N to get the nodes tool, and I want to make a reference rectangle that is isometric as a reference for what we're going to do in the next steps. So let's just do this. Just snap those four corners to those four corners like that. This way I understand where the grid is and how it works. And then I'll press Ctrl D to duplicate this and snap this one right here. This is optional, we don't really have to do that. The next thing I want to do is I'll press T to get the text tool, and I'll type any number of my choice. In this case I'll go with 5 because I think it's a little bit tricky with rounded numbers, and that's the reason why I want to show how you can do that with a rounded number like this one. So one thing I also like to do is I like to trace the numbers with the pen. So let's just go ahead and do that. So I'll press B to get the Bezier pen. I'll turn snapping off. I'll click somewhere there. I'll hold Control, click there, keep holding Control to lock it onto the vertical axis. Click there, and then let's just trace the shape of this number. That right there I believe should look fine, and that looks pretty much perfect. I believe I can maybe make a slight adjustment to this right here and right here, but for the most part that looks pretty much perfect. So let's click on this object and get rid of it, and let's make another square now. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hold Control and Shift and make a square. Let's give it a white fill color, remove its stroke, and I want to lower that to the bottom, and I'll select both of these objects, center them on the vertical and horizontal axis. Let's zoom in, select the number or the black object, turn snapping on, and I will just simply snap it like that. Let's select them both, come over to Path, click on Object to Path, Ctrl G to group them together, and then I want to apply the perspective path effect to it. So click on Perspective and then press N to get the nodes tool, and let's snap these corners to the corners of that isometric rectangle that we made earlier. So the blue rectangle like this. That looks great. Let's go ahead and do a path, Object to Path, to get rid of the path effect. Let's ungroup this object, delete the white shape, and we can even remove those two blue shapes. Let's get this out of the way. Okay, so let's now take this shape, duplicate this, and then snap it right there. And for the next step, what I want to do is I want to separate each of these pieces of this object into different colors. To do that, I'm going to click on this object, duplicate it, give it a different stroke color, press N, and let's just select all of those nodes and then delete them. And then I will repeat that step for all of them. So again, I will give that a different fill color. I need to select that first, give it a different fill color, select this node, delete it, select these two nodes, delete that, select that, and delete that as well. And then just keep repeating that step to get rid of, to simply color all of them differently. So let's just do that one more time, get rid of that, and then finally I want to do this one more time. I'll duplicate this, give it a different color, and then let's delete this, and I believe I can delete this, and that will give us that result. Now I want to select all of them, Control D to duplicate them, and then simply snap them right there. And now I want to select each shape, each of the two colors, and I want to extrude them. So let's select this blue color or this cyan color, and let's select this one, and then come over to extensions, generate from path, extrude. Let's click on live preview, apply and close. Let's select this object, remove its stroke, and then just give it any dull looking color. Let's select this blue object and this one, extensions, generate, and then extrude, live preview, apply and close. Let's select this object, remove its stroke, and let's just give it a different color, something like this. Let's do the same thing for this object and this one. So extensions, generate, extrude, live preview, and you can finally see the issue that you run into when you do this for a curved object, right? An object that has like not straight lines, but you have curves. But we'll fix this in a second. Let's apply this, close it, and let's select it, remove its stroke, and let's just zoom in here and press N to get the nodes tool. You can see the issue here, right? Let's add a node here. Let's snap it there, select this node and delete it. Actually, let's do another thing. Let's add a node here. Let's select this one and delete this. And I believe I can just simply do this, and there you go. That looks much better. And then I want to select this orange shape, select this one, extensions, generate, extrude, live preview, apply and close, and we get the same problem here again. That's okay. Let's select it, Control Shift and G to ungroup it, since we have two shapes here, and then do a path and union to unionize them into one. Then remove its stroke. Let's give it a different color like this, and you can see there's two issues here. We have this one, and we also have this right here. So let's just fix each one. Let's press N. I'll take this node or this path, and I'll bring it here. I'll add a node here, and I'll just bring it in. Right, that looks pretty much good now. I believe this looks pretty good. There might be some fixing that we need to do here, but I think the rest looks pretty nice. So let's select these shapes and delete them. Let's select these shapes, and we can pretty much maybe not delete them, but move them out the way. And then I want to begin coloring this object. So let's select the top object, right? and then let's give it a cyan color. In my case, I'll give it a cyan color. Let's give it this color. Let's come to the fill and stroke menu, and let's increase the transparency, and let's give it a linear gradient, and I'll press G to edit this. So I'll give it a gradient like that. I'll do the same thing for this one. So again, I'll give it the cyan color. I'll increase the transparency. I'll raise it to the top. I'll give it a linear gradient. Press G and just fix it. There's a little bit of difference between these two colors, so let me select that color, and that looks fine. Let's select this pink color and do the same thing. Let's give it this color. Again, we can fix the colors later if we want to. Let's give it a linear gradient, bring it here, and let's do something like this. Finally, I want to select the pink color. Let's give it the same cyan color. Increase the transparency, linear gradient, press G, and I'm gonna do something like this. Looks pretty good. I just want to simply adjust these two gradients. I'm gonna make this a little shorter, and I want to do the same thing here. So just move this in like this, and I believe we are pretty much done. Let's just give it a background. Of course, we're gonna go with a much darker background. And there you go. We are pretty much done. Now if you want, we can make some slight changes or adjustments to this area right here just to make it a little bit smoother. We can do the same thing here. So let's make sure that we snap it like this, and then I can do something like this, and we can go ahead and adjust this area as well like that, and that looks pretty much perfect. Looks pretty nice. Let's also make some slight adjustments here. So I'm just going to simply duplicate this object, and this is where it just looks so beautiful, so nice, and absolutely elegant like that. So that is pretty much how you can go about making that design. If you like this video, you may also like one of my other videos. Thank you for watching.